Hello and welcome to this channel. I'm Pastor Joseph and I share thoughts inspired straight from the Bible. Today I'd like to talk to you about the 3 reasons why I think every Christian should go to church. Now, before we dive into this topic, if you haven't seen my other video on why I stopped going to church, I'm going to post a link up here or down in the comments below. Please watch this video first in order to understand the context of the word church and how I use that word. I'll pause. I'll wait for you to come back. Let's dive right in to the reasons why every Christian needs to attend church. To find that answer, we're going to open up our Bibles to 1 John chapter 4, verse 7, and it reads, "Beloved, let us love one another, for love is from God, and whoever loves has been born of God and knows God." Now, the Apostle John is saying a lot of things in this passage, and the key to understanding this passage is the word love. The Greek word that he uses in this passage is phileo, and that word can be better understood as of love based on social and moral obligation out of principle. So the first reason why every Christian should need to be a part of a congregation is because in a congregation or assembly, as defined in my previous video, you grow in these type of relationships. It says here, you have to love one another. You cannot grow in that kind of love if you're by yourself, or only if you associate with people who are like you, or only if you associate with people that you like as well. You need to be in a mix of people, some people that you like, some people that you don't like, and it is in those relationships that you will begin to learn to love out of principle, out of social and moral principle. The second reason that you need to be a part of a community is because in a community, you begin to see how far along you're coming in your spiritual walk. Now, you're probably saying, Pastor, where are you getting that from the passage? Well, read, and it says, "And whoever loves has been born of God." That means if you find it hard to love that brother or sister in church that is a little difficult to love, it's just an indication for you to pray and ask the Lord for more of his holy love so that you can deal and work with them. So it's a good indicator, a good gauge for you in your Christian walk. And the third point is found at the very end of this verse. And the verse 7 ends like this and says, "and knows God." So in a relationship, in a congregation with people of all walks of life, you're going to have a different and deeper understanding for who God is simply by going through that process. Now, you're probably saying, Pastor, I've been in church before. I've had a bad experience in church. And I'm not talking about those abusive relationships that you need to get out of. I'm talking about situations where you've dealt with someone, they may have said something or done something that kind of hurt your feelings. Well, let me share with you some encouragement to help you endure those difficult times. And you'll find that in verse 12. And let me read that verse for you. And it says here, "No one has ever seen God. If we love one another, God abides in us, and his love is perfected in us." So here the Apostle John concludes this teaching moment by reminding us that if we abide in those challenging relationships, if we allow ourselves to immerse ourselves in that assembly, God promises to abide in you, which in essence is giving you a foretaste of what eternity will be like. And in abiding in you, he promises to perfect his love in you. So simply, I'm here to remind you that the reason why it's important for you to go to church, if you are a believer, is because there, in those relationships, God promises to dwell inside of you, and he also promises to perfect his love inside of you. So, all things said and all things considered, I want to encourage you this week. If you haven't been at church for a long time, why don't you consider going back to your congregation and saying, I'm happy to be back to worship with you. Plug me in some type of ministry so that I can continue to grow in my love for my neighbors, love for each other, and to grow in my understanding of the Lord. And watch as you go through these difficult moments as his indwelling presence transform not only your spiritual life, but every aspect of your life. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've been blessed by any of the content shared on this channel, why don't you consider subscribing, giving me a thumbs up, or sharing it with a friend? And I look forward to speaking to you next time.